We are at Scholaholm Castle, just south of Gothenburg in Sweden, for the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Champions Trophy. And the main event is well underway with 2 quarterfinal heats down and 2 to go. Who will be joining reigning champion Sterling Hart and in-form American Matt Kogar in the semi-finals? The Swedish flags are out in force as we welcome national hero Ferry Svan to the stage, who will be taking on the Polish heavyweight Michael Dubicki.
As far as weight and power are concerned, Dubicki has the definite advantage here. But Ferry Svan has been working very hard.
Go!
Ferry Svan starts quickly with that stock saw. Watch out for Dubicki. He's got great power, though. Here, you need to have finesse as they move over to the underhand chop. Ferry Svan getting in there quickly as he knows that Dubicki can really hammer that axe. Ferry, deep cut on the first side, moving over to the other side. Dubicki catching up, mom cheering him on as he really wants to have a win here in his hometown, home turf, let's say. Oh, and Dubicki gets the advantage, moving over to the single buck. Here comes Ferry Svan. Ferry getting into it quickly. Good long strokes, frantic quick strokes by Dubicki, and that caused problems as he twisted the saw and got it hooked up. Ferry Svan has now caught up and has moved just ahead of Dubicki, going over to the standing block chop. This is going to be very tight, folks. Dubicki, like I said, a power hitter. Ferry Svan going hard at it. Both of them stroke for stroke on the first side. Both of them moving over to the other side. Dead even heat now as Ferry Svan is taking a few quicker strokes here. Dubicki, he looks like he's got the top of that thing loose. Is it going to be Svan or Dubicki? Dubicki in 109.75, and Ferry Svan unfortunately going away from competition today with a 113.21. Let's look at this again. Ferry Svan was great on that stock saw. Both of the guys moved over pretty evenly. Actually, if I look at that again, it's Ferry Svan who had the advantage moving off stock saw. But here, look at this final blow from Dubicki on the other side. Just massive power there.
Laurence's first opponent of the knockout round is Germany's Robert Ebner. It's going to be a tough race. I think Laurence has definitely got this one in the bag.
Here we go, Laurence O'Toole going up against Germany's Robert Ebner. Couple of good guys. Interesting matchup here. Should be pretty even as they're both matched up well here. All right, here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Ebner with a good start on that stock saw. Ooh, look at that. Pretty even drop on both cookies. And Ebner gets quickly over to the underhand chop. He knows he has got a massive challenge on his hands against O'Toole, because when O'Toole gets those long arms and that axe moving, there is no chunk of wood that can withstand that power. And both of them on the other side. O'Toole just slightly behind Ebner here on the underhand chop, but the chopperoo, O'Toole gets through first to go to that single buck. And now, here comes Ebner. We saw Ebner do very well on the single buck earlier, but those long arms and long legs of O'Toole, I'm telling you, O'Toole's legs start at his shoulders, and he gets through that single buck quickly and moves to standing block chop. Ebner, not that far behind, coming over to the standing block. It's an Australian against a German, against a chunk of wood, and it is a good battle. O'Toole moves to the other side. He's highly motivated as he slabs out a couple of big ones, and that top is looking real loose, and O'Toole gets through in a fantastic 103.14. Ebner also good with 108.35. Wow, great heat. All right, great sportsmanship as we look back at the slow-mos here. Ebner was actually a little bit faster than O'Toole was on this stock saw. You could see Ebner was a little more efficient with his connection to the wood, got through there and over to the underhand chop faster, but here was the decisive moment with the top of that block shaking and just looking super sketchy. O'Toole, one final blow, and like I said, a fantastic time.
A lovely cut there by Laurence, a great stock saw onto an exceptional underhand, back to the single buck, run it nice and smooth, and he could take his foot off the pedal on the standing block. He's through into the semi-final where he's going to go up against Michael Dubicki from Poland. He set a great time as well in the qualifying, so it's going to be a tight heat.